how would you like to make your first million? And today we have Tyler with us, which is the founder of Turnserv, a company that joins property and technology to the biggest markets to build wealth. So, Tyler, tell us, what are the 5 steps that you recommend the entrepreneurs out there in order to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Yeah, appreciate it, Harry. So first step always is, and I had to learn this the hard way, you need to deeply understand yourself first. And I know that's a little bit unconventional. Deeply understand yourself. You have to know your tells. You have to understand how you normally respond to things. And you need to know your thresholds. How much risk tolerance do you have? What's your pain level tolerance? You name it. That's the first step. That segues into the second step here, and that is to deeply understand why you do what you do. It's very similar to understanding yourself, but when you take it a step further and you can understand why it is you want to do what you do, and it's okay no matter what the answer is. That could be, I want to build an abundance of wealth. I want to buy materialistic items, whatever it is. That's for you to judge. But when you're able to understand why you do what you do and why you want to do those things, that makes it much more tolerable when you're on this journey. And now you're not just solving for superficial items, you're solving the root cause and root desire to yourself. You're much more likely to make an impact and do things long term if you could understand why you do those things. The next is kind of the more typical common items that you probably hear. Step 3, find a space and find a need and understand it deeply. You need to look at a market. What I normally do is look at a market. Is it trending up and to the right? Is there a big solution that's needed there? And then I just dive in deeper than anybody normally does, and I understand it as deep as I can, and I really just live in that space. Next, once you know the space, once you know what you're doing, step 4 is you need to be able to specialize, don't generalize. And this is where I see a lot of people fall off the trail, because when you come in, you want to build a big solution. You want to have all these bells and whistles, but you really need to specialize, because when you specialize, you're able to delegate, which is step 5. Step 5 is be able to, it's delegate, measure, adjust, and repeat. And when you could do those things, you're able to build a business. You don't build a job. And when you can build a business that runs with you or without you, that's when you can really build wealth. And you don't have to sign up every single day and work from 4 a.m. until 2 a.m. and whatnot. So when you build your systems, that's when you can really accumulate, scale, and grow and achieve your goals. Those are my 5 steps.
Becoming a multimillionaire in property and in technology is easy. People, our audience might think this, because 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6 entrepreneurs that we interview in this broadcast on a stop of 5 steps how to make the first million are either property entrepreneurs or tech entrepreneurs. And you, my friend, you have both of them together. However, is it easy? Is that easy to become a millionaire doing property, or that easy become a millionaire in tech, and why? Or still, what happened? We don't want the audience have be on the wrong assumption. Oh, because 1 out of 5 people, 1 out of 6 people that come to Harry podcast are millionaires, and they're doing tech or they're doing property. It's easy to become a millionaire doing property. It's easy to become a millionaire doing tech. You, my friend, are doing both. You know, you're actually doing property tech,
Yeah.
which is you are in the right spot of the wealth. However, tell us the truth. Is this really that easy? What's going on? Or why? Why so many people are wealthy come here from this industry, technology and property, more than anybody else? We already interviewed 500 multimillionaires in this broadcast. And 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6, they are either property investors or they are tech entrepreneurs. So why do you think that there is so much wealth in this space? And tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly of those fields, the property and the tech, just so our audience can have a real perspective what's going on.
Now, of course, I'll give you all the details, the insider stuff here, Harry. So to answer your question, yes, you can make an abundance of wealth in property and in tech. We hear stories all the time. I'll preface this. When I was getting into property, I literally just talked to a bunch of people when I was young, and I said, "Hey, I don't know what I want to do. I need to make money. What do you recommend?" And 9 out of 10 people and mentors I talked to told me to get into real estate and property. And then the other
To
one
me
person told
also.
me to, yeah, yeah. And the other person told me to get into technology. And so,
You said,
just
what
one.
about what if I do both, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I think that there's an abundance of opportunity in property and in tech. For me, I play ball in the multifamily space, and that industry is primed for takeover and expansion. There's such a big need there, and there's not a lot of large players in that space. And the housing market is just changing every single month. Every single quarter, there's a new thing going on. I'm so excited about that space. So, yes, to answer your question, property is the way to go if you need something a little bit more predictable and stable and whatnot. And that's what I needed. Now, that all those things said, the world is changing quickly. There's syndicates going on. There's all these other REITs and whatnot. There's all these new solutions coming up to speed. So I'll say this: yes, prop and tech, you can do a lot there, but it's less really what you do, and it's more so how you do it. Once you have all of your things figured out, what space you want to be in, make sure it's growing and whatnot, you need to really look at how you add value to it. And so for us, we speak the language deeply for our clients, and we're able to solve things. I always tell everybody everything that we provide provides a solution and peace of mind and quality of life. And everything that we do as entrepreneurs needs to solve those things for our end user. And I think sometimes we get caught up in the weeds and we want to be clever and build all of these things. But then when we talk to the clients, there's like two things that they like. And so technology obviously speaks for itself. There's a lot of opportunity to build wealth in that space. Property, it's produced more millionaires than anything else in the world, right? And so that's never going to change as long as you're able to adjust and adapt and keep on growing.
So what are the biggest
Oh, and
risks or what is the biggest challenge that you have
yeah.
growing your business and how you overcome that challenge?
Yeah, so the good, the bad, and the ugly. I almost left the fun part of it out. So the good part in prop and tech enabled services is, there's literally just for lack of better case samples here, drive down the street and you'll see big buildings everywhere. There's a lot of it, and it's not going anywhere. The market is stabilized. We grew the most, throughout COVID, and there's a housing shortage all the time. There's always going to be a need in property, always. For us, it's predictable too. So the good side is it's predictable. 50% of renters move every single year. And so when you visualize this, look at an apartment complex, for example, and half of those renters are going to move out every single year and new ones are going to move in. There's 500 people living in that facility. Think of everything that goes into the process of moving, of living, of getting a facility ready. There is so much opportunity in addition to just buying and holding real estate. There's so much within that space as well. And that's the good. The bad is keeping up with scale is quite the challenge. And when you're a young company, you can't afford to have a million different things going on. That's why you really got to pick one or two to add value on. Because the bad part is that there's so much opportunity, it's hard to keep up. And then, which in a weird way is a good problem, but it's still something to figure out. But I'll get into the fun part, and I'll say the ugly part about like what we're in. So when you build for scale, when you build for all these things and you try to do some incredible things, you build very specific systems and processes so that your team can be on autopilot. What the ugly part of this is, we could develop and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in R&D and all these other things, and then we tell the clients, here's how you utilize us, and they say, no, I don't want to do that. And so getting them up to speed and able to engage, and the ugly part of it is when you build innovation, when it's new, there's a big adoption period, and you need to get the end user completely up to speed in understanding why they're doing what you're asking them to do. And if there's resistance there, it's your job as the entrepreneur to coach them through it and make them understand why it needs to be done. But also, like, it goes back and forth. This is why you got to spend a lot of time in R&D and testing. And the ugly part of it is you'll build these solutions, and then every now and then somebody will just test you like, hey, I don't want to do these things. I'd rather just text you at 2 a.m. Can I do that? Like, no, like, use the system that we built for you. And so there's some ugliness that goes on that side of the street. But all things said, all that is around the fact that it's a massive opportunity. It's a growing space, and you're innovating as an entrepreneur, and anything new is going to feel a little bit friction filled at first.
Do what you love and you're gonna make millions. These statements, I have some discrepancy with this statement because when I started my first business was actually in property. We managed to sell over 5 million doing a strategy in London. I live
Oh,
in
nice.
London. It was rent to rent, and now was I passionate about property? The truth was no. However, I wanted to find a vehicle that helped me to make good money. And same like you, I asked around, yeah, and everybody was saying property is a good vehicle, yeah. It was back on the day. I'm older than you, so probably tech was not so so developed as it is now. But I remember people were saying property, and then yeah, I have said that after the property, I own different businesses from restaurant to uh, uh, career advice, English academy, even a global company where we do events and workshops. And that's why you see back on the stream me speaking in different conferences around the world. However, um, if I didn't start this property business first, that gave me the skills and the resources, I could never open other businesses and actually do what I'm really passionate about, which is I love the conference and train people and do these talks around the world, especially to students, the universities, that I'm very passionate about. So sometimes even if you have a dream and you want to achieve that dream, and maybe it's a restaurant where you want to have, but maybe would be a good idea to start to build this foundation with something that every wealthy people that we interview here, they somehow they have property, they have a little investment property. Even if they exit the company, at least they bought a few. So um in terms of when you started this journey, right? Um, were you really sure that property that you were passionate about property, that you love it, or little by little it started to warm up and you fell in love with things that you like and things that you don't like? The other day I had a meeting with a colleague and she was telling me, Harry, no, from now on I only gonna lend money. I only gonna lend money from now on, so I don't have to deal with tenants. I don't have to deal with this. I don't need to deal with that. And it's someone that had
Wow.
been a mortgage broker, and I mean, husband is a mortgage broker, and she's a tight. She works in title, so they've been doing this for so long. They do have experience. They understand the market, and now they still are in property, but they already find what really uh, like the strategy that works for them. For have this strategy, obviously you have to have a certain amount of wealth. You need to have money to
Yeah.
lend, right? And you need to know what you're
Yeah.
doing. You need to know what you're doing also, because you don't understand property and then you lend money to somebody that will be able, I don't know, to build the house and to flip and the whatever. You know your money is gonna be locked into this thing. So um I love did I love property that I'm passionate 100%? Not that much. However, there are a lot of things of property that I like it, and sometimes as much as you know all the different strategy, you can maybe you started with one strategy, but little by little you will find out what is the space in property that you love, um, that you're
Yeah.
happy with. My one was, for example, was rent to rent. It was we were renting the properties, fixing them up, and renting back again unit by unit. But at the point we have 177 tenants, and and it was a big operation, you know.
Yeah.
You have
That's a
about
lot.
24/7, you know. This is it was very lucrative, but you know it have a big operation. So now every time that I'm jumping into a business, I'm always checking how the operation it is. If it's
Yeah.
no Uh, so, but one thing goes. Now I have experience, right? So tell me, for example, tech. Do you like tech? Are you software developer? How come you start to link technology with property? This is something you really want to do, the tech, and you say, you know what, property gonna make money, but I really like also tech. So why I don't start to do both things? Tell me a little bit more how you end up in
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think the big things you alluded to this, and this is what you said. Did I love the space I was getting into beforehand? And the short answer is, and this is going to be a curveball. I didn't love the space. I don't any. I get pitched a lot of business ideas. I start a lot of businesses. Example, in the past 5 years, I've started 5 companies, and each have done over a
Wow.
million dollars in their first 12 months.
Wow.
And
In
the
different
reason
spaces,
why
different spaces have nothing to do with property or anything, no?
So mine are closely connected to property and supply, and that's why I'm able to do it. And
Hmm.
so when I started off my companies, I was trying to solve a solution. I had a pain point because I used to be a property manager and I couldn't find the solutions that I ended up having to build. And so I didn't do it out of love. I did it to not feel pain anymore. And so I think that there's something to be said about passion and all those things. For me, the passion looks a little bit different. I would do what I do for free just because I don't know what else I would do, but it doesn't mean that I connect and love every little thing that I'm doing because I view that as an asset. I view that as a vehicle. And I love the journey. I love going through entrepreneurship, the highs and the lows, and learning about yourself and all of these things. I love that. And so if you remember my first two steps and my 5 steps of to wealth, I said deeply understand yourself and then deeply understand why you do what you do. And it kind of speaks to what we're talking about right here. Because when you can check those boxes internally, for me, I don't love property, so to say, but I love the pursuit of making it really good and making it more efficient. And I don't love tech offhand. I'm actually not a developer or coder just by trade. I have to delegate and find people to do that. But what I do love is I am able to provide more convenience and quality of life for not only just my clients and customers, but also my internal team and myself by having that. And so, and plus the optics around tech, obviously, multiples and opportunity and whatnot, that part of it's really nice too. But for me, I don't necessarily love anything that I get into. I'm passionate about it and whatnot, but I really keep things frame in mind because I've been through the journey enough to where I know if I try to build something that I love, I'm going to end up just putting something together that I'm passionate about and it might not solve any issues. Whereas if I'm more passionate about the impact that it makes, I'm probably going to be more relatable to the clients and customers and that long-term goal, so to say. And so I love what I do. I don't necessarily love every single little thing that I'm in necessarily.
I agree with you as well. And at the end of the day, you see the if you have a vehicle that is working and is producing you good income, right? Um, I think that this is a good step to start to build your foundation, right? And sometimes uh, people they there are could be some assumptions there that okay, you do what you love and you're gonna be wealthy and you're gonna find you're gonna become a millionaire just by doing what you love. I think that it depends because if what you love there is not enough market size and not too many people want to buy, that specific niche is gonna be more challenging. Whether other vehicles, maybe you don't love it, you're not passionate about it, yeah. So I have to share with you that I did warm up into property later by later. I'm so many years on the space now that there are a lot of things that I really, really like. Uh, and on top of that, there are different strategies. Yeah, I also like tech as well. The only 5 years that I was an employee in Spain, I was working in tech. Yeah, as a software developer. So I spend a lot of time with the tech community, with the tech startups, giving them advice, trying to find them investors, help them to grow a little bit, and assist them what we're discussing to get the product market fit on the best of my ability. And one problem that we usually find with the tech entrepreneurs is that when they started to build it, right? Um, they develop the technology first without knowing if it's gonna be a need for it. Whether I'm under the impression that in your case it's the opposite. You already have the client, you already know what they're willing to pay, and after you knew all those details, then you went back and developed, said someone to develop the software. Um, if
Exactly.
that's the process that you did, and this is the only way that you can be successful in tech. So, what advice do you have for the people in the tech space that they start an startup company and they start to develop that software? They think that the software is gonna change the world, and the software is gonna be so good that the client are gonna come out of the sky, they're gonna buy, and then you know how expensive it takes software developers, but then you continue developing this app, you continue been developing this software, and now you need to add more functionality because like these people gonna buy easy, and then you need more money, you remortgage your house, and then you ask money to all your friends, and then rather than a minimum viable product, you develop a big elephant, and then when they are run out of money and they have this big thing that they don't even have time, energy, and resources to go to the client to ask them if they want to buy this product and in what kind of form buy it. So why, when you start to do the tech, why you didn't do it this way? Why you didn't develop the
Mhm.
software first and went out to see if the people wanted? So you went the other way around. You have been a property manager. You know the space. You know that there were some gaps in technology that can be closed, but you knew who's gonna buy it, and
Yeah.
you went there and asked them, if I do this, would you buy and how much you willing to pay? Yeah. So what advice do you have for the tech entrepreneurs that they disagree with you? They don't
Sure.
see this way of thinking. They think that no, I will create an amazing software with AI, gonna solve the wanna fix the world. It's gonna be so good that everybody will come and buy from from me.
Yeah.
Uh, what message do you have for those tech entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think the big thing is, so most entrepreneurs, we're passionate as can be, right? Like we have
See,
high
at the
energy, we
beginning,
want to
we're product
build.
lovers. We get fell in love with the product. I get it. As a
Yes,
first time
yeah,
founder, you're in love with your product. However,
yeah, yeah. I think the big thing to remember is you're building it for somebody else to get convenience, right? And as developers, as founders, as everything that we are, owning our businesses and building them, building software, all those things, they're fun for us. They're taxing, they take a lot of resources, but we tend to lose sight of the end user. And we never think, like, we don't stop and ask questions sometimes. And I always hear this, somebody quotes Henry Ford. They said something along the lines of, if I asked the public what vehicle they would want back in the day, they would tell me more horses. And so that everybody has this like motivational thing in their mind to where they say, oh, look, Henry Ford is saying, like, we got to build it. If we build it, they will come. Quite the opposite, in my opinion. Like, for example, on my side of the street, I find holes or gaps and I fill them. And these aren't hypothetical. These are things that I run into, that my clients run into, my customers run into, my users run into. All of it is real life. Oh, hey, hurdle or breaking point or something. And I say, hey, we can automate that. We can build a better solution. Now, I also keep the frame of mind of, I know that I'm in a little bit of a unique position because I already have an established client base and I'm able to build companies to serve them and solutions and all these kind of things. But at the same time, I had deep industry expertise before I got into the space. And I think that component right there is what enables me and empowers me, and also what other founders and entrepreneurs can lean into. Because like I was saying earlier, when you build that first line of code, you think of the social network movie, you think of Facebook, you think of all these things, and that's
mm-hmm.
great. Be motivated and whatnot, but you have to be really realistic and honest with yourself. When you can identify, hey, like, this is more so for me, I want to show somebody how clever I am, I want to show how good of a job I can do. You got to differentiate that a little bit. And when at the end of the day, before you do anything else, Don't just build an AI solution because you saw somebody else doing it. Deeply understand why you want to do it. What pain points does it cure? It has to at least serve two pieces of or two places for the end user, in my opinion. Is one, it needs to solve something in their minds. That can be quality of life, that can be convenience, that can be automation. They don't want to feel pain anymore. You take that away. Or you need to serve their love language. So go to the heart next, that chakra, right? And you need to serve something there. And this is where you could, I'm sure there's a million examples, but say I wanted to start selling plants online as drop shipping because people love plants, right? That's what I mean by that. Like, is their desire enough? Are consumers' behavior predictable enough to build a business around that? I tend to go to the more quality of life and convenience because as humans, we are expecting that more and more. What's at our fingertips? We want the Netflix. We don't want to go to Blockbuster. We want the right now. We don't want to wait 6 days for whatever it might be. And so when you can solve convenience and speed in a real-time solution, you don't need to find the most remarkable idea in the world to add value. You can look at a market and, oh, I can do this one aspect a lot better. And I think a lot of people lose sight of that, to be honest with you. So yeah, for us, we solve convenience, we find holes naturally, but hypothetically, look, if an entrepreneur, last thing I'll say is this: if there's an entrepreneur that is committed to a passion project, and this person is just a straight cowboy, Wild West, they don't care about analytics, they don't care about market, you name it. I hope that person is their own developer and coder because they're going to spend a lot of hours and resources developing that code, and that's fine. But you have to be really realistic with yourself. If you lack adoption, it's because you build it for you and nobody else.
100%, 100%. Then the stereotypes and stories that they are great, they're inspirational, but really send a message that that is no actually how things work in the majority. Yeah, I'm glad that you brought the case of Henry Ford. Yeah, right. So I will build them, and then they will come. And maybe it could be also the case of Steve Jobs and Apple, right? That no, I'm gonna have this so beautiful product, and they will come. But there is only two people.
Yeah.
Who you see when you see the majority of entrepreneurs, and the thing is, Tyler, people listen to these stories and they are assuming this as a role model. They're assuming this as the way that they're gonna go out and do business. Probably these stories are so famous because they are so uncommon. They're
Yes,
so
exactly.
uncommon that that's the reason why they are famous. That's the reason what because it's really for the entrepreneurs that wow, you did it like that, man. Because nobody does it like this. Because the chance of you making it like this is close to zero. So wow, what a story. But the rest of the stories have been more exactly what you say. Listening to the clients, I'm getting feedback from them, know the product that you want to do for you, the product that they want to buy, and in what form they want to buy. So I think that in this broadcast and previous interview, somebody came, a tech entrepreneur from the 80s, right? From Canada, and he developed like a device, looked like a big mobile phone. And this device was helping you to track the time of the workers, right? And he thought that he will sell these devices to the employees, and the employees are going to use them and track the time of work, and they will realize how efficient they are. So they say, well, I have a big business here. How many manufacturing employees I have? I'm going to sell one device of this to every employee, and everybody will see how efficient it is because it tracks the time. So that's how he thought that people will buy. And what really actually happened, nobody cares. Any employee want that thing. So the people who wanted the device, it was actually the business owner, the CEOs, the owners of the business, and they want this as a service. So they want him to bring 2,000 of these devices, lease it, and do a test for a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, giving a report. And what they were willing to buy, it was not even the devices, it was not even the thing. They were buying the report. That's what they really want to buy. You see, look how far can be sometimes as the tech entrepreneurs what we think that the product will solve and how we're gonna sell it, and actually what exactly the market wants. However, Tyler, the other way that the biggest way that expand a business is number one, you get as much clients as possible, but number two, if you can sell more product to those clients when you have this relationship. I remember when I had my property business, the tenants they were coming back. It was in London, so they used to come from Europe, right? It was not Brexit, but them, and then they stay. And sometimes they going back home. I went there and asked them, why are you going back home? And they would tell me, Harry, the thing is, I come to London to speak English, and you see the schools are very expensive, and now I'm running out of money, and I haven't not learned English as good as my parents expected. So that's it. I'm coming back to my country, and I'm like, wow, that's why you're going. So I decided to open an English school. So I went to the
Cool.
ten and said, guys, you know what? Forget about this expensive English school. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So I had an English school without speaking English. I didn't speak English. I didn't speak English, and I have an English school. And the people say, Harry, how come you have an English school if you don't even speak English? I said, I don't need to speak English. The people who knows, we teach them. I don't have to be. So then we start to we asked them that, and then also they were saying that they couldn't find jobs, so we opened a career advice division also at the company. So we were listening to them because at the end of the day, the more they stay in the property, the more rent. This is where the money was. So I had to do whatever it takes in order to keep them as long as possible in the property. So whatever thing was in my hands that I can facilitate that. But at the end of the day, they were buying services and services. The school was amazing because the school also, the people from the street, they come into the school. And then my manager from the property, the school have one class only. And then at the other, it was the property offices. And the manager was constantly going to the school telling everybody, do you need a room? Do you need a room? We have rooms. And we also managed to sell a lot of rooms because of the school. I think that this is um, an example how when you have a client base and you have this relationship with your clients, if you have a relationship and the relationship already with them, you can offer alternative products, and they are more likely to buy from you than from somebody else because they already have a relationship. It's a stranger for them. So my question is the following: why do you think that all the companies out there, most of the companies out there, spend 90% of the budget trying to get strangers to the business, trying to get new clients to the business, which is really expensive, as you know? And then you have a big base of clients that already bought from you, that already you have the relationship, but because these people bought from you, okay, you only have 10% of the time of the resources just to nurture their little bean, and you don't even have time or money to develop a product that they can also buy because you have 80%, 90% of your resources are focused only, I need more clients, I need more clients, I need more clients. And then all the effort goes to bring more clients and nobody, and very little to nurture the relationship that you have with those clients, to talk to them, to try to see if they have an extra problem and offering different solutions. So why, Tyler, we see out there that I would say it's very common to find a company putting everything, bringing time, money, and effort, bringing strangers, even big corporations, even big companies, corporate, still doing this more. So
they are.
What's your opinion on this?
I think it goes back down to this. I think it's a shiny object. And I'm not saying sales aren't important and whatnot, but think about it. All you've ever heard since you were a little kid is a salesman. And you think of somebody selling a car. You think of like expansion, and you think of like new clients on this mill, right? And new client. And I
And
think for us,
then the company increase the valuation. So now you say, okay, let's get more clients.
yeah, exactly. They chase kind of, I don't want to call sales a vanity metric because on its own it's not, but there's an element of it to where you leave so much on the table because you have the client base, you have the customer base already. So you made the analogy of you provided solutions. I call it within arm's reach is what I always say. You mentioned you had a property, you saw a big need on English speaking, and then you started that, and then you started to kind of referral the property side, the stay side, and whatnot. So what you're describing is exactly how I had built companies. And for reference, I don't think I'm the most clever or creative person in the world or what have you. But last year, my companies was on the Inc. 5000 list, and we were the top 500 fastest growing in America. And
Wow.
I look at that,
Very
we did
impressive.
that. Thank you. And we did that. Yes, we have a sales team and they get new clients. But our big
Absolutely.
focus,
Of course, you need no clients, but
yeah, but our big focus last year, 70% of it was referrals and retention. And
100%. Very good.
correct. And we look at our average ticket price. And if we say, hey, this average ticket price for this group of clients is only $500, is there a convenience or solution we could offer? Because they're going to spend $5,000 per unit anyways. How can we capture more of that? And that's where we focused. And we were able to double our ticket size, which relates to we doubled our revenue just by focusing within our own client base. And I think that's something to be said. We're kind of describing, starting companies within arm's reach. Somebody recommended the book Edge Strategy to me, by the way. I highly recommend the readers
Oh,
check it
wow.
out because that is exactly this, by the way. So we have that component, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to referrals and things that are close to us. Earlier, you asked me the companies I started, are they all in segmented industries? Are they all different? And no, they're all grossly related. Just because it's so much easier to build value that way and use that client base that you already have. And so that's the space I play ball in, and also that's what I would recommend. People out there to really focus on. And you could say, hey, that's fine. Like, say you start a residential service company, and like, hey, it's not B2B, it's not really reoccurring or what have you. I would look at it like this: if you started a residential service company, and I'm just going to make this up. Let's say that you just started lawn care or something along those lines. Think about the value of you being in that building or being in that home already. You did the hard part. You got the lead, you got the client, but now could you build a window cleaning company? Could you take that further? Could you do a smart home company using the same kind of leads? Can you do referrals and cross promote and cross sell and whatnot? There's probably a lot more opportunity around that space versus new sale and selling your way with new clients or customers into $1 billion company. That is a real cowboy method to grow, so to say, and you need it. But really, I think if you shift that focus in referrals and solving solutions or increasing your revenues from one client or one base or enabling your own companies within a nutshell, that is where you're going to have the most value for sure.
The long-term value of the client, something that people that entrepreneurship take in consideration because I remember like I used to have a tenant that it paid me, I think it was like £800 for 8 years.
Wow.
Can you mind?
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to pay attention to retention because if you keep your clients happy and you deliver a great experience to them, guess what? They can refer you new clients. You know how much it costs this? Zero. And still you need to
Yeah.
try, you need to treat your clients excellent anyway. So
Yeah.
the referral just goes or just go come as a bonus. Okay.
Yeah.
And yes, retention and create and try to create new solutions for them is
Yeah.
something that I think so. Tyler, if I give you $100, okay, and out
Yeah.
of these $100 you have to take resources for building relationship with your current client base and offering different products and have good customer service so that you can have some referrals and maybe you can put something more products that you can sell them. And then but also out of this $100 you also need to take money and resources to get a new clients. So how much, just for people from that listeners, they can have an idea about the proportion of the money that they can be using. Yeah, this is your personal opinion. Yeah. So if I give you $100, how much do you get for new clients? $50 for new clients and $50 for customer relationship, whatever. What would be your proportion of that budget? So our listener can have an idea if they're running a business. Maybe if they keep in 90% for new clients and 10% for build the relationship with the existing client, maybe the proportion you're gonna get them can maybe look into this. But just tell us honestly how you do in your business and how you split this $100.
Yeah, so right off the rip, I would not do more. So my split is this: it's 1/3 and 2/3, and this part might surprise you.
I love it.
I'm going to be retention and referral.
That's where you're my kind of guy. I'm in your boat. I love it.
Yeah, there we go.
2/3, yeah. Very good. Very good.
Other third, I'm still going for new sales. I'm still going to lean on my client base to try to bring that cost down. And a lot of it's going to be, hey, do you know anybody else in the space that we could add value to? And that's what I'm bucketing as new sales. Or maybe there's a landing page offer or a cold call or what have you. But I'm doing it 2/3. I actually wanted to say probably closer to like 85-15. But I think a healthy range is like is 2/3 to 1/3.
2/3. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. I mean, and of course, Tyler, when you started the business, you don't have any client. Of course, you need to take the whole $100 to find your clients because you had zero. But at the moment that you start to have clients that they are already bought from you, and they're happy with your service, this is a gold mine. I experienced it, and it's amazing. And now I'm glad, Tyler, that you are sharing this with our audience, because it can change your life and your business overnight. And this is the truth. If you look deep in how to enhance your relationship with your clients and how to offer without going crazy. Yeah, because I went crazy in this part of it. I opened a restaurant also for my tenants, and because they say, oh, we want to eat the food from Spain, and 50% they were from Spain. And then I say, you know what? This was very good with the school. This was very good with the career advice. The restaurant, let's open a Spanish restaurant so the tenants can go to the Spanish restaurant. Boy, what a disaster. I lost 200,000, and it was a big disaster because the school, the cost was very tiny because I only have to pay an office space, and I put some chairs and a board and the teacher, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
It's very simple, that operation. And the school was one class. So I have 20 people, okay, every hour or every 90 minutes. I don't remember, it was a long time ago. And then in the same space, another class come, beginner, intermediate. So in the same space, we were running multiple classes, and the classes were 20 seats, and everybody was paying. So we have a great margin. Yeah. However, restaurant is completely different ballgame. Restaurant, somebody pay you a bill, and out of this money, you have food costs, you have bills, you have chef, you have health and safety, you have electricity. And then I didn't realize, that's the other thing as well. I didn't realize that if I have 177 tenants, okay, I cannot have a huge restaurant. So my restaurant was huge, was really big. So with 177 tenants that I had, I cannot even have a food truck with one table.
Wow.
Because they can only come one time, because that's the amount of client that I had the relationship. They don't go to restaurants every day. So I missed this calculation, and I went there and opened a restaurant, counting that my client base is going to be the 80% of the operation. And then, a big mistake. Yeah. A lot of fun though. Well, a lot of fun. It was intense. It was intense. I learned more about business in this restaurant failing that with the property that will give me very good money. But anyway,
wow.
So Yeah, so don't go crazy. Do your numbers. Still, it's a business. You're gonna offer an alternative product, and keep your costs down, Tyler. Right?
Of course, have to.
So what's
Have
your
to.
analysis that you do when you're gonna offer a new product to existing clients? You see, I'm glad that you go out there and you ask them this is what they're gonna buy and how much, and you're very careful, and then you make sure that
Yep.
you can serve that client base, because now if they need, for example, a software, right? And I don't know, only 20, 30 people gonna be using you. You don't need to build this super app that is gonna cost you millions to solve this, because otherwise it's not gonna work, right?
Yeah. So one thing that we do, I mentioned like we do things within arm's reach, and our clients are already doing those things with other people. And so I don't really build anything from scratch. And I've never gotten in the real estate, or I'm sorry, the restaurant space.
Whoa, be
That's a
careful, yeah.
risky one. Yeah,
Uh,
I don't
if
think
you
it'll work.
really love
Um,
food, that's fantastic. But otherwise, be careful, man. Is a big operation, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So one thing that we do, one thing that I do when I am and analyzing a space to get into, I look at the customer journey, right? And the thing is, I'm already in the buildings. I already know clients. I already know them. I know their pain points. But I wasn't just born with that knowledge, right? I understood the industry a little bit, and I talk to our clients all the time. And a lot of it is I'll say, hey, what can we do better? And like they'll say, your service, this, if you added this, it'd be cool. And then they say, but if you guys started doing this, that would really help me out. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. One person asked for that. And then I'll truly pitch that concept to a few people that I know or decision makers, what have you, and said, hey, if we added this on, what would you think? Would you try us out? And it's very informal. I don't have like a set criteria, so to say. But if I get a lot of responses back and say, oh, we would use you guys tomorrow on that, I would analyze it and try to build a business around that and start very small, like not invest a ton of money into it. Just start with one person and see how it builds out. But that goes back to my concept of I don't really build hypothetical. I build off of like what's truly needed today. And so if somebody pitches me an idea, like we can get into the weeds about how big is the TAM, how big is the SAM, how big is the SOM, and all those things. And that's cool. And that's important. Don't get me wrong, but really comes down to buying behavior. Metrics are just a metric. There's no indication there. But if there's people converting to a landing page or a newsletter or early signups or demo downloads or whatever it is, and there's traction there, that's when I'll tap in a little bit harder, to be honest. But I do it kind of like as if I was 80 years old. I let things kind of like come into my lap, and I say, oh, cool, I'll build a business around that. Let's do it. And so far, this has worked for me.
Mm. So, Tali, somebody's in love with our conversation. How people how people can join, can find you, how this process works?
Yeah. Yes. I'm really active on LinkedIn. Tyler Dunagin on LinkedIn is the best way to get a hold of me. I will respond. It might take me a couple of days, but I'm super active on there. I love networking. I love talking to young entrepreneurs, older entrepreneurs, early in their journeys, you name it. I just want to add value. I don't care what it looks like. That's the best way. And then to learn more about me, kind of where my businesses meet my personal interest, it's my last name. So DunaginCollective.com is where you can kind of check me out and see some of my social media channels and whatnot. I love travel. I love classic cars and a few other things. But really, I'm building out a small community of entrepreneurs where it's just we can lean on people. We could talk. We could really just go elbow to elbow and just ask people like, hey. Like, how do you live through this journey? Here's where I'm at in my phase. Help me out here. And I'm just trying to combine like-minded people and people that just want to help other people in a positive way. So DunaginCollective.com or hit me up on LinkedIn. It's the best way to get a hold of me, guys.
That's fantastic. And with that note, see you guys in our next broadcast of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneurs like Tyler break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.